2014 to 2016 Toyota Corolla. To be able to change out the ignition lock cylinder, you have to program the key first. So the original ignition lock cylinder and the original key, you need to have it. Now, what's really important is that you need to be able to turn the key still. You have to, for the removal and for the programming. Now, for you to program this new key, okay, this is the new key with the new ignition lock. Okay, this key turns this ignition lock. This also works for adding keys to your original one too as well. You need to have this programmer box right here. You can use TechStream as well, but this is a cheaper solution and it pretty much works. This one works for Toyota G keys and some special H keys. But in this case, we got a H key right there. There's an H right there. So it only works with a few H keys. The good thing is this does work for the 2016, 2014, and 2015 Toyota Corollas. So right here on the box itself, it tells you how to add the transponder. This can also be used to add the remote control as well. So I'm going to read this here real quick. He says, now the instructions is very, very not precise. I had to do this a couple times to actually get it right. So I'm gonna tell you exactly what you're gonna be doing. So you're gonna get in the car. You have to close the door. You need to have the original key, obviously. What you're gonna do is you're gonna turn the key to on. Okay, you're gonna put this here and you're gonna go to on. You gotta connect the box down here in the OBD2 reader. You see right down there. You gotta connect the box in there. You have to make sure that this switch here is on the left side. See, right here, it shows left. See, the switch is on the left side. That's to make sure that this is on add transponder, okay? When that box is plugged in, it's gonna make noise. And then your anti-theft system, which is over here, that's gonna still flash until it gets solid. Now, this is the part that I was saying that the instructions are kind of, well, besides the fact that it's broken English, that is not very precise. When this turns solid, you have a very small window frame to actually take the original key out and put the new one in, okay? And once you got that new one in, you have to wait until this shuts off again. Once that's shut off, that means the new key is now programmed. So that's what we're going to do now. So just to show you first, the original key is in right now. With the original key, see, with the original key, it stops flashing once the original key is on. That means the key's programmed to the car. So it knows now that the immobilizer recognizes the key. With the key that's not programmed, okay, obviously this key won't turn this cylinder, but that's not the point. The point is that we just need to program this key to the car first. So you should be able to put this into the original cylinder. It just won't turn it. Okay, you can see with the new key, it still flashes. The anti-theft light flashes. So we want to make that stop flashing. So to do that, let's go ahead and do the steps. We'll go ahead, put the original key in, turn it to on, not accessory, but to on. Okay, you see there? You got to go to on. So it's gonna be 2 clicks that you need to do. Once that's in there, you gotta connect this OBD2 reader down here to the connector. Make sure that's fully all the way in. It'll make that noise, as you heard. And then this anti-theft light will be off. I mean, it's gonna go through its cycle, as you can hear it. Ready for the swap. And then you see it turns solid. You're gonna take this key off and put this key in. And when you put that key in during that small time frame, this thing would flash twice and it'll continue blinking. That's okay, because what you want is this to blink about 30 times, which is going to blink about 30 times. So it's like 1 every second, so 30 seconds. So after 30 seconds, this will stop blinking. Now, after 30 seconds, if that didn't work, what you need to do is you need to go through the process again and do it. Make sure you do it fast enough. So once this turns solid the first time around, you take the key out, you take the original key out and put the other one in. You'll see that this flashes twice. That means that it's registering the new key. So you'll see here in a second that this will stop flashing. And once this stops flashing, that means that this key, this new key, is now registered to the car, and now you can change out the ignition lock cylinder to the new one. So as you can see now, see, it stops flashing. So now this key is now programmed to this car. See, when you take this out, take the key out, right? This is the new key. You can see the new key. Take this key out, put it back in. I'm gonna put it back in, and it's gonna stop, okay? So now this new key is also programmed to the car, okay? The reason that's important because you cannot program this key after the ignition lock cylinder has already been replaced, because you need to use this as an authentication. This key authenticates the immobilizer to let you add more keys, okay? So this is what unlocks it, the original key. After that, after this is added, now this one is also authenticated, okay, to the car now. So this is considered another master key. That's what it is. All right, so let's go ahead and let's swap this out. So one of the first things you want to do is you want to take this cover off right here. Okay, you're gonna slide that cover off and move it away. And then back here, you already see here that there's a small little connector. Now, as you can see, it's already loose. I go a little ahead of myself, okay? But you want to take that connector off. Okay, once you take that connector off, you see here, there's a screw that goes here. You want to take that screw off, and I'm going to show you why in a second. Why? When you take the screw off, right up here. Okay, so right over here, do you see a little divot in the metal? And the messed up part about this whole thing is that the reason you need to, and all I'm doing is going underneath the ignition right here and looking up, okay? So the messed up part is that in that little divot in there, it's really hard to see, okay? But there's a pin. There's a pin that you push that's in there. There's a pin in that divot. So the way I get it, I use this, a 2.5 millimeter Allen key. You can take the ignition lock off with just this one tool. So in here, there's gonna be that little divot that I mentioned right there, okay? Now the easiest way to do this, like I said, you need to make sure you have this loose, because that gives you just enough leeway to get it in there. You're gonna run this down, okay? You're gonna run this Allen key down in that little divot until you get to the bottom of it. And at the bottom of that is when you're gonna push in. But you can't push it in because in off mode, that's locked. So you need to put this in accessory mode first. And you might hear an annoying beep for a little while, but I try to make it quick so we don't have to be annoyed by it. So you put the keys in and put it into accessory mode, which you know when it's in accessory mode because your radio will turn back on. You see it there. When you're in accessory mode, what you're gonna do is you're gonna run this Allen key down this divot, okay? Once you hit the bottom of that divot, you're gonna push in. You're gonna push into it, and then you're gonna pull. Yeah, hold that for me, please. You're gonna pull this. Okay, you're gonna pull the keys out when you push that in. Okay. Once the ignition lock has come out this much, that's the first step. Okay, that's good, because this is a two-step process. This thing does not come out with just one button. It's actually the button on the side where the Allen key's is hanging out over there, and the claw that's down here. Okay, there's a little hole in there. It's kind of hard to see, but there's a little claw that goes in and out as you push this. Just push and pull. It's in there. Okay, the claw is in there. Okay, so once that is out this much, once the ignition lock cylinder is out this much, you can actually take that Allen key off. It's just stuck between the connector box and the hole. So once that's out that much and it can move in and out freely, what you're gonna do is you're gonna, let me see if I switch hands here. You're gonna put your Allen key in that hole, okay? You're gonna put that Allen key in that hole like this, okay? And you're gonna pull on this guy. You're gonna pull on the keys like this, okay? Because you want this all the way out. That's when the claw on the bottom engages. Now with the Allen key on the bottom, you want to make sure you're all the way in and you're playing with it. Go back and forth and pull, okay? Your best bet is when you push it in and jiggle it around a little bit. Try to take out the Allen key, because now the Allen key sometimes it gets jammed in there and acts like a lock. So you pull this out and there comes the ignition lock. I'll show you one more time because it's not that hard to do. So I'll just do it. I'll do the second step. This is after you push that button. You're gonna push up. You're gonna pull on this and push up. See, you'll hear a click. Once you hear that click, usually it's already ready to come out. But if it hasn't come out, just jiggle around a little bit, and then if it's not coming out, pull the Allen key, and then there you go. It'll come right out. It comes out with force because I'm pulling on it. It'll happen the same thing to you. But once this is out, can you hold this for me, baby? Once this is out, there's a little divot right here. That's the very first divot that you push on with the Allen key. Okay? And it'll only push if this ignition lock cylinder is off, see? It will only push, see? This is on. This is run. This is accessory right here. That's accessory mode. And when it's off, it doesn't move. It only moves in accessory mode because it's the only one that it's the only mode that unlocks that button. Now when you push that button, it gets caught on this claw down here. You see this claw? There's a claw down here. That's the reason why underneath you have to put this Allen key, because you're pushing on this claw to release. That's the secondary lock. That's why you're pulling on it. And when you're trying to pull this out, the Allen key starts to act like a lock because now it's stuck between the hole and the ignition lock. So when you pull this out, it gives it just enough leeway so that this lock releases. You can pull the rest of it out. Okay. So to install it, it's just reverse. You have to keep this, again, like I said, in accessory mode, so that this lock is free to move when you install the new one, which we're gonna install here soon. Okay. So straight from Toyota is this part number, which brings the cylinder and key set. Can you hold this, baby? Okay. Now what you're gonna get is this right here. You're gonna get 2 pairs of keys and the lock cylinder. Same exact lock cylinder as the one that came out, because this is the original one. As you can see here, same exact one. Same lock, same everything. Now, it's kind of cheap of them to do this, but I guess they must get it from some manufacturers and they don't do branding, they just do parts. But you'll get 2 keys like this. They give you 2 keys that'll unlock the lock cylinder and let you turn it, unlock it, do whatever it needs to do. Okay, so I'm gonna open one of these guys up because we need at least one for now. Now the transponder inside these keys, obviously you're gonna be transferring this from your old key right here. You're gonna transfer all the stuff, the back, the back of it, the buttons, and the guts inside. You don't need to reprogram this again because the transmitter is already programmed to unlock and lock the car. The only thing that you're actually programming is the transponder to the car. That's the only thing you're gonna be programming the car to. So again, to install this, we need to make sure that this is in accessory mode, which you'll see 4 little divots, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you want to make sure it's on that first one. So you're gonna turn this to the first one, and you'll know when you're there because you'll be able to push this in. If it's not pushing in, then you gotta keep moving. See, there you go. Now it's in there. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna push this one in, and it's a simple. And before I push it in there, I want to show you something. There's that hole that goes underneath, right there. That's the hole on the inside. That's what gives you access to pushing the claw. And there's the hole back there that's really hard to see on the outside. That's the hole right there on the inside. That's what you're pushing in on with the Allen key. Okay. You obviously want to make sure this is clean in here because you don't want to have shavings on your brand new ignition lock cylinder. Okay. So once you make sure that this is free to move, you're gonna line this up. The claw side is gonna go here. You see these two? There's only one way this key can go. That's why it's made to be this way, so that it's pretty much, you know, dummy proof, like for people like me. So right here, just gotta slide it all the way in. Okay, you're just sliding all the way in, just like that. That's it. Now that the ignition lock cylinder has been installed, you gotta put this cover back on. Okay, we're gonna put this back on here. We already did put this back on, and the screws back on back there, as you can see. Okay, so now we're gonna try out the key. You can see this is the new key with the new ignition lock cylinder, and now it's gonna be able to turn it. And when we put the new key in, you see it's gonna turn off the anti-theft system because we already programmed it. So now we're gonna try it. And as you can see there, the car's running now. So now that we know that everything works and the car's running, we're gonna turn this back off. I'm gonna put everything back. And make sure this connector's on still, this is still on. Gonna make sure this connector back here is still on. Back here. Make sure everything that you took off is still connected so that we don't have problems later. And now, since you weren't able to see the removal, you can at least see the installation. See how to put everything back on now. So let's start with making sure all this is put back on. And we're gonna start putting back the panels. So the first thing to put back on here is gonna be this panel right here. My wife took this off, and technically you're supposed to take these off as well to make this a little easier, but this is also possible too. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna slide this side in first. Okay, you're gonna slide this in, and you're gonna see that this piece needs to go behind here. Okay, but what you need to focus on is on this side. Put this part in here behind the steering wheel. Okay, once this part is behind the steering wheel, you just push up and everything else will fall into place. See, now everything's there. There is a little clip down here, so all you have to do is push up, make sure that clip is clipped on. Now that we got the bottom piece on down here, we want to put the top piece on. Okay, this is just gonna go in here, and this curvature is gonna go towards the steering wheel. What you want to do is you want to kind of slide it in there and match it up as best as you can, because your thing is that you're gonna push this down while pushing the top one up to kind of clip it together. Because these, you don't put the screw yet because this goes down in here, and as you can see, that matches in together, so both of those get screwed into that one hole. So I'll hold this here for a second. I'm gonna try to clip this on together. You want to make sure that every piece is matched up back. So you can see back there, it's screwed on together. It's clipped on together. It might take some finagling to do, but just keep playing with it and make sure that both sides are clipped in. Both sides here. Keep pushing the two pieces together until they match up like this. Once you got both sides matched up, as you can see, both sides are not matched up because there's no gaps. Now you can put the screw that goes right there. That's our next thing. Now, to make this a little bit easier, it's best to turn the car on because it activates the power steering. So you can actually turn the car left and right easier. And let's lock this in. Let's lock down the steering wheel so it stops moving on us. Okay, so we'll be able to turn here, start putting the first screw. This first one, not too tight because it's plastic. Now that the first one's in, you want to turn the steering wheel to the other side, and then there's the other one. Again, make sure the top piece and the bottom piece are together so that they meet up right here in the middle. Because when you're screwing this down, you're screwing both of the pieces back on. Okay, so let's just screw this guy in. Now once that's screwed in, okay, just double check, make sure that nothing's forgotten. As you can see on this side, nothing's split. This is back on, this is pushed in. Steering column's pushed in, make sure that clip is in. See, it's no longer moves now. No longer moves. So the last thing to do is to take everything out of the old key and put it onto your new key now. This last step is not too hard. You just need to take this guts out of this one, move it into this one. For some reason, when you buy the new ignition lock cylinder and key set, it does not bring the backing buttons or transmitter. So you have to swap everything over. And to do that, it's pretty easy. All you gotta do is grab this key or anything that you want, just using this key because it's just accessible right now. And you're gonna have a little crevice right there. All you gotta do is just push something in there to pop it open. When you pop that open, there's a little transmitter in there. This thing's already programmed to your car, so you don't need to program it to your car again. So you just gotta swap the buttons over. And these buttons are keyed, so you can't really mess this one up. Just like Legos. See, and then you put the transmitter back in. If you ever need to change the battery on this, all you have to do is just pry like a little flathead and pry on here, here, and here. Get the clip off and you'll find a little battery in there. I think this is a 2032 or 2016 battery. But put this down in there. Put the backing back on. And that's it. Your new key is ready. That's all you need to do. You can try it out. All the buttons, everything's working. Obviously, try out the car one last time with the new key. And there you go. It's done. Now, one thing to remember is keep the old key, because even though it's useless for your ignition, this key can still be used to open your doors and trunk if it has it. Usually the Corollas don't have that. But the doors are still able to be opened by this key. You can't recode your doors unless you change all of them to the same one, which is more of a pain. Just have the extra spare key. I mean, everything's keyless, so all you really care about is the remote control working. But yeah, just store this key away. This is the original master key, and you can keep it around somewhere so you can use it for your doors. And that's it. Like, subscribe, and thank you for watching my first video.